Hey, I noticed that just about everybody else has done a Star Wars video. So, could I do one too? But see, mine's different. Because up until a little while ago, I would have wrinkled my nose and said, I don't like Star Wars. Don't leave! I saw Return of the Jedi when I was like 8, and I liked it well enough. I liked the Ewoks, and I thought Darth Vader sans mask was really creepy, and I mean, that was pretty much it. Like, I didn't really want to see any of the others, but there was also this thing. See, I had this idea, mine or someone else's, that I couldn't like Star Wars because ours was a Star Trek family. Now, there's a couple problems with that. First of all, if I'm a Star Trek fan, I'm a really bad one. I think I've seen 7 movies, including the 2 new ones, and 1 episode of the original series, and a handful of episodes from the Next Generation. I really can't pass myself off as a Trekkie. Yet, I know a lot of stuff about the Star Wars universe. But besides that, they really don't have so much in common that they need to fight for dominance. Being a Star Trek fan doesn't mean that you must like Star Wars, but it doesn't mean that you can't like it either. Each should be judged on its own merit. But that was how it went for years, and even when close friends who loved Star Wars told me I should see it, I staunchly refused. And yes, I admit there was a little bit of, everyone is so obsessed with Star Wars, like, it's so stupid in there too. The change started when I found some reviews on YouTube. These weren't just people geeking out or nerds, I'm one to talk, who were going on about their nostalgia. These were actually people who were fleshing out what they liked about the original trilogy, and they were talking about characters and stories and plot devices and all these things that, as I grew older, I realized that I really liked to talk about. It made me realize there was more to it than just ships going around in outer space, pew pew pew, shooting aliens. Finally, with The Force Awakens coming out, I came to terms with my curiosity, threw up my hands, and said, I surrender. I will watch the original trilogy start to finish and see what I think once and for all. Now, I should note here that because I watched such detailed reviews, I knew enough to track down the original theatrical release. Unfortunately, I was hoodwinked or something because I ended up with the special edition, and I was so verschnookered when I got to the end and I realized, nope, that's Hayden Christensen standing there, but I tried. So, without further ado, here's the review part. When we first started watching A New Hope, I was kind of turned off because it really seemed like it was geared toward younger children with C-3PO and R2-D2 just going around doing their thing, and it was kind of corny, and there was cheesy dialogue, and the actors weren't really great. And I'm talking about the newcomers as well as the adults who were just delivering one line here or there, and they were pretty rough. The exception, in my opinion, were the veteran actors, Alec Guinness and Peter Cushing. I have to admit, having these gentlemen in the movie helped get me in the door, because I am fans of both. And as usual, they did an excellent job, and I wish they were in the movie more. Fortunately, though, I found that the movie improved as it went on. The action picked up, and I think that that helped carry the story along with it. And I noticed a little foreshadowing here and there, and that made me realize I really wish I didn't know the secret that's going to come up in the next movie. So A New Hope ended, and I thought it was okay. It didn't really end with a cliffhanger, I thought, so if this was 1977, I probably would be like, will I go see the next one? I don't think so. It was okay. The next night we watched The Empire Strikes Back, and I noticed right away everybody's acting has really improved. The main trio of Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Princess Leia, they all seemed much tighter knit even when they were fighting, and they just worked together better. And because of that, when the story became more dramatic halfway through, it really worked well. I started to really appreciate the different sets and the backgrounds and all the different environments that were created for this Star Wars universe. You know, the deserts of Tatooine and the snow at that place, and Yoda's thing. I don't know that much trivia. It gave you a lot to look at, but it was nice because it was tactile. It wasn't just CGI everything. Although C-3PO really grates on my nerves and I just find him so annoying and wish he would shut up, I really enjoyed the other supporting characters. I can totally see why people love Yoda, and I can't really explain what it is about Boba Fett that's so cool. He just is cool. As it gets closer to the end, I really, really, really wish that I didn't know the big secret, because the reveal would be so earth-shattering if I didn't, and as it is, I've known for pretty much my whole life. I envy the kids who see this big, iconic reveal for the first time. But anyway, we got to the end of The Empire Strikes Back, and I think that I got so sucked into the story that I forgot to blink at the proper intervals because my eyes were all dried out and I had a headache, and I was just like, ugh! And here's the key. I was really looking forward to seeing the conclusion. So, the next night we watched Return of the Jedi, which I had already seen 1.5 times. But this time it was different because I had all this context now. One of my favorite things happened at the beginning when Luke Skywalker shows up at Jabba's palace and he goes through this tunnel thing. When he first shows up off in the distance, it's like a little visual trick and you're like, wait, is it Luke Skywalker or is it Darth Vader? And it's like, whoa, I see what you did there. I thought that was really cool. And you know what? In general, Luke Skywalker is cool in this movie. He has come into his own, and every time he does a Jedi thing, like a Jedi mind trick or something, it is just like, yes, you're doing it. I'm so proud of you. Although it is really weird that he and sometimes Princess Leia look so much older, and it's like, how much time has passed exactly? I loved that time was taken for the poignant moments along Luke's journey, like the scene with Yoda and the scenes with Vader. These things are important for character development, and if you don't have that stuff, then your story's not going to be so great. So, counteract that with my disappointment and irritation when we were taken away from those scenes in the end with Vader, and cutting to the rebel ships fighting the Death Star, and Han Solo and Princess Leia with the Ewoks on Endor. Like, I know that stuff was important, but I don't think it was as important as what was going on with Luke, and it just felt like those scenes were a little bit too long. Maybe that was just me, though, because I was really interested in what was going on with the Emperor and Vader and Luke. And every time we went back to the other things, I was just like, no, go back to Luke. Like, I want to know what's going on there. That's what I care about. I know that I liked the Ewoks when I was a kid, but I had enough of them. There was too much of them, and they made C-3PO bearable by comparison. And while we were talking about things that I didn't like, there was one moment in the entire trilogy where I was just like, this is stupid. And that was in Return of the Jedi, the musical sequence at Jabba's palace. It looked bad, it sounded awful. I don't know what the point of it was, really. It just, ugh. But in the end, I enjoyed Star Wars. Finally, I can see why people love it. I can see why people get so into it and why they get so invested in all of the characters and why they want to explore it from every possible angle, why they want to go into the past and into the future. I can see it. I get it. It covers so many different genres. There's action and adventure and drama and romance and comedy. And my favorite thing is definitely Luke Skywalker's character and story, his development over the whole thing. When it starts out, he's such a recognizable type. He's a young guy who just wants to get out and do something with his life. He wants adventure. He wants to go out there into the world. As he's swept up into this rebel action pretty much coincidentally, we meet new characters and discover new places pretty much through his eyes. As he learns about the world, we learn about the world. Yeah, he's a little whiny at first, but he becomes likable and relatable. He's an accidental hero, and he still makes mistakes. It's coming of age, it's an underdog story, it's identity crisis, it's good versus evil. Oh, and it's all told with John Williams music, which is always a plus. So, what's happened to me? Have I been seduced by the dark side? Am I gonna start doing Star Wars cosplay? Am I gonna ask for a lightsaber for my birthday? Probably not. Am I going to check out some Star Wars fan fiction, some of those published books that I've heard about? Maybe. Am I gonna see The Force Awakens? Yes. And now it's not I feel obliged to see it because it's the biggest movie of the year and everyone's gonna talk about it for the rest of my life. No. I actually want to see it. I am really curious and looking forward to it. So, please don't spoil it for me. When I see it, I'll review it.